What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of the SBR NBA show. My name is Junior Browne, joined as always by my guy, Jordan Sharp. Another day, another opportunity to make some money in the NBA. Went 1-2 on my picks yesterday. Hit with the Sixers. Miami did not come to play yesterday, scoring 78 points, so the Celtics were able to cash there. We did not have Jordan on the show. It was a bit weird to be flying solo, honestly. I was just talking for 30 straight minutes, which I'm not used to doing. So with that in mind, I'm going to kick it over to my guy and see what he was up to yesterday.
Yeah, man, we've had a couple of solo shows, but results have not been there for the solo shows. I was by myself Wednesday, so yeah, good to be back because it seems like we both do better with our picks when we're together. So obviously nothing official for me yesterday. I went 1-1 personally. I myself got beaten by the Miami Heat yesterday, laying 6.5. Just one of those games where they just didn't show up. That's fine. I don't think it's a huge. I don't think that's an indictment on them. It just happens in the NBA from time to time. Boston's kind of figured it out. It's funny that ever since Marcus Smart called them out, they've been playing better defense. I think that's kind of a little bit of a funny narrative that happened that last night. But that we'll see if that continues. I don't think it will, but. I got to talk about my one win though, because you already know who I faded last night, Junior Browne, and I took as 10-point underdogs. You already know. I wish I would have sprinkled. It looks like Oklahoma City is the Lakers' kryptonite. I don't know. Good thing they won't be playing them in the playoffs, but what is the Lakers' kryptonite? Really good point guards, and they. I mean, we should have kind of known this when they had to pick Avery Bradley up off the street after the Warriors dumped him. And like Avery Bradley used to be a top-tier defender in this league. He still is a very good defender. But when he's your best defender, you're not going anywhere. I'm sorry. It's like I'm really tired of like the Lakers being overvalued, and I just couldn't take it last night. I wish I was on the show because I would have been this excited about it. But I can't get too excited about 1-1 considering how bad the Miami Heat lost in that early game. So just made my money back and lost the VIG last night, but still. Plus 10 last night, plus 10.5, I think is where it closed, man. That was just insulting to Oklahoma City, and just the Lakers just putting forth the narrative of a team they're not, which has been like I guess the story of this year so far, that everybody still just wants to be a Lakers apologist when there's obvious problems. And I don't know. I like I said, them and Dallas pretty much. Dallas is starting to get off this list a little bit, but the Lakers are still auto fade for me. Like I don't have many teams that I just automatically fade against everybody, but last night was pretty easy when you're given a team that has. Still a talented and deep roster, and while they have their offensive struggles, they came to play last night, and it shows.
Yes, sorry, I was just coughing right there. Listen, that dagger three that Shai Alexander made from the logo, you don't really ever see him talking trash, so it was actually pretty good to see him get excited. He's had a couple of really strong games after opening the season, like super cold. You actually even brought up on the show, like you weren't sure what was happening with him, and I wasn't sure either. I have him on one of my fantasy teams in a keeper league, actually, so I've had him for a couple seasons now. He's a baller. He's a certified baller. I'm not just saying that because he's Canadian. He could really ball out there. I'm excited to see him finally get to a real team at some point in his career, but he's still super young. That it's fine that he's in Oklahoma City right now because they could still make moves over the next couple of years with all the damn picks they have. As for the Lakers, I'm going to have to agree with my guy Jordan here. They're an automatic fade team. You can't be laying big points with these guys just because of the names on the front and the back of their jerseys. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't really have too much more to say about that. Other than I'm disappointed that I didn't cash. Good to see the Suns pick up a win, but again, they're playing against the Rockets, so the level of competition isn't really there. The Jazz did what I kind of thought they would do, which is beat the Hawks. I didn't think they'd blow the Hawks out. But yeah, disappointed in the Heat performance, and the Pistons are just not a good basketball team. Again, with under 100 points, you're not going to win in today's league if you can't crack 100 points on a regular basis. So with all of that in mind, let's get to today's games. It's a pretty good slate today. A lot of games. So we're starting this one off with, I'm going to say Jordan's Memphis Grizzlies, because Jordan, he's a supporter of the Grizzlies. Jordan's Grizzlies take on the Washington Wizards. Jordan, what you got here?
Yeah, the Grizzlies kind of one of my trifecta of teams I root for, and not just for John Morant's purposes, but that's just sent it into overdrive here lately. But yeah, this is not a Grizzly spot. If anything, this is, I think, a Wizard spot, but I don't think I'm going to step in front of either one of these two teams. It's a short spread. It's already implying as kind of a coin flip here. And I think Memphis is taking a lot of public money, whereas I think Washington may actually be the better play. And we've talked about this from time again here with the Wizards this season. They're in the top half of the league defensively and the bottom half of the league in pace. Who would have thought we would have been saying this just a year ago? But the coaching change for this team has changed a lot of things. And I will say this. Over the last 5 games, Washington's defense has kind of like slowed down. They're starting to regress back to where I think they are supposed to be. They've been playing a little bit above par defensively here lately. But the other part of this game, the specific game that I think makes me here with my play on the under here for this game, is that I think that Washington matches up very well with Memphis. And Memphis, on the other hand, also, it's not been great offensively for them outside of John Morant lately. I spoke about this a couple weeks ago. I think maybe it was right when Dillon Brooks went out. He's kind of taken up that mantle as like I use the term unnecessary confidence, but for him, it's like, it's real. When he gets cooking, like, that guy can shoot the ball and he can score 20, 25, 30 points on you pretty much, any time he gets hot. And without him, you're kind of left with just Ja and Jaren Jackson, and then a lot of guys who aren't necessarily consistent every night on offense. And I know Melton's been playing really well. I know these guys they've stepped up to the roles that they have been forced to, but it still hasn't been great offensively for this team. And I think you're looking at a spot here where, yes, Memphis is going to want to push the pace, but if Washington at home can control the pace of this game, I think the under is absolutely a great play. I got it at 221. I'm seeing kind of 221 and a half, 220 and a half, somewhere around there. So I think it's kind of settling right now. But Washington here taking a little bit of steam is a little bit concerning to me, because I think that would lead me towards something else we've talked about this week. This Grizzlies team is that their defense has been a weakness so far to start the year. I don't think that's going to continue throughout the whole year, but it is a little bit of concern here to me to see the home team laying already 1.5 points, now up to 2 points, which can only mean that they're expecting them to score more than initially thought of. So a little bit concerned of that, but I still think if they can control the pace here in this game, Memphis is good enough to kind of overcome their lapses on defense against this specific Washington team, which outside of the couple of guards, which they should be able to match up well against, I think they are able to slow down or stop the rest of this Washington roster. So a little concerning me, the front court matchup too, but I think the under here is the best play for this. So I'm staying a mile away from the spread though, because to be honest, I think both of these teams could very easily win this game outright.
Yeah, I'm taking the Wizards minus 1.5. I think that it's a Wizards spot. The Wizards look pretty good. They're a very different team. They're not the team we've become accustomed to. Definitely, as Jordan mentioned, their pace, they're 22nd, I think, in the league in pace. And so here's the thing with them, why I'm taking them. They have this weird stat that kind of puts it over the top for me, especially with such a short line. They have this weird stat going on where they lead the league in free throws, but they allow the second most free throws. So they're not even really taking advantage of that one area where they've been pretty good. But here's the thing. The key for me here is that Memphis is 27th in the league in free throws made per game. They do not do a good job getting to the line. And a lot of these stats, when you kind of look at them sometimes, you have to be careful of looking at looking at the totals instead of the rates, because the rates kind of give you a much better idea. And so even in rate, Washington is number 1 in free throws per game, but they're second in free throw rate, right? Whereas the Grizzlies are just not doing a good job getting to the line at all. So I really think that that's an advantage that the Wizards can exploit, especially being the home team on a short line, because all things being fair, they should be a 3-point favorite. So the spread is telling you that the Grizzlies are the better team. But that then makes me touch on something that Jordan just mentioned. The Grizzlies' defense, as of today, is garbage. It's not going to be garbage like by the end of the season. But as of right now, it's not good. So if I was going to take points with them on the road, I would need at least a full possession, probably with the hook. So probably I'd need about 3.5. For me, anything under 3, the value's with the home team. So I'm riding with the Wizards on this short spread. So with that in mind, let's get to the next game. Unless, Jordan, you have anything else to add?
No, I think it's like I said. I think I was leaning towards Washington to begin with, so it doesn't surprise me that you're going ahead and firing away.
No, I'm actually super interested to hear what you have to say about this game, because this is a game between two teams that are very different than the teams that we've become accustomed to. Now, the Raptors, I said at the beginning of the season, I am absolutely not a believer in the small ball. But the more that I've seen it, the more I've realized they don't really have a choice but to play that way just because of the makeup of their roster. It doesn't mean that I'm now flipping what I said. I just don't like it. But here's a couple of things that I do like about the Raptors. First of all, they still defend like the team that we've become accustomed to. They're sixth in defensive efficiency. And they don't, like, in the last couple of years, like after they won the championship, the one thing I didn't like about their team is its over-reliance on shooting threes. Like, they just shot so many threes for me that's kind of how the games would go. If they were doing well from three, they'd play well, but if not, they really didn't have a chance to win. This year, they've kind of dialed it back on the threes and kind of just focused more on spreading, having a spread-out attack. They've got four guys that average double digits, three guys at almost 20 a game, including a rookie who's balling out of his mind. Like, and again, that's another I'm not going to say mistake. That's another thing I've been wrong about. I didn't like that they drafted Scotty Barnes. I thought they should have drafted Suggs in that spot. So the Raptors have been proving me wrong all season. I'm not about to step in front of them right now. But I know somebody else that's been proving the whole damn league wrong all season, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers are not a bad basketball team. They're not a good one, but they're certainly not a bad one. I don't love that Lauri Markkanen has COVID right now because he's been part of their success. But Jordan, what do you think about this game? I have no play on it.
I don't either, but it's extremely interesting, and I wanted to include it on the slate today just simply because I think that there's a lot of people like me that are very into the Cleveland Cavaliers this year, but I think have kind of maybe overreacted just slightly to their hot start. Whereas Toronto seems to be sustaining it more, and even more of a surprise of how well they're playing. Like you said, that they are, their net rating over the last 5 games is top 5 in the league. You said it. You already said their defense has already been top 10 in the league so far this year, and it's going against a Cleveland team, which is, if you look at their metrics, yeah, their defense has been good, but for some reason they can't rebound very well defensively. These are the 2 top offensive rebounding teams in the league, but Cleveland's like down in the bottom of the league in defensive rebounding. If you're going to start a huge starting lineup like that and be bad at rebounding, you may want to reevaluate some things here. And at home, I mean, you gotta think that at 5.5 points, like, you're looking at this and thinking, should Toronto be 5.5 points favored against anybody? Well, I mean, yeah, I think with the way they've been playing comparatively to the Cleveland Cavaliers here, I think they absolutely could be considered to be favorites in this game by 2 possessions. Am I going to be laying the points? No, but I'm not taking them either. I think this is a perfect line for these 2 teams. And the total, another instance where these are 2 slower paced teams. They're down on the bottoms, I think 10 in both in pace. And this is a game where if those 3-pointers aren't being shot or aren't falling, this could be an extremely low-scoring game. The first team to 100 wins it. I agree. I think that kind of the Markkanen injury or the Markkanen COVID situation, and the fact that Cleveland's kind of been a little poor on offense. They rank towards the bottom in a assist to turnover ratio as well. They just they're a young team. They got young team problems. So on the road here, having to go through customs now, with the Toronto actually playing back at home, I think I'm probably staying off this game as well. Lean under, but at 204, that's not a whole lot of points, man. Like I said, if there's just a few extra threes falling, that could sky over. So I'm scared away of both these lines right now. You're muted, my guy.
Sorry about that. I was coughing. I didn't want anyone to hear that. I don't have anything to add to that, so let's move on to the next game. Jordan, why don't you take us away? What are your thoughts? Knicks Bucks.
Yeah, Knicks obviously on the road here are taking 4, and it seems to be going to be a very, very popular bet. Almost too good to be true, right? You kind of look at this line and think, well, Milwaukee's missing a ton of guys. They get Drew back, but obviously Middleton and Brook Lopez are still out tonight, whereas the Knicks come in the much healthier team. They come in probably the better defensive team. And And once again, I'm kind of looking at this line thinking, if Giannis wasn't just blowing smoke the other day when he talked about his knee was still bothering him, which is a little concerning, speaking of guys that you have on your fantasy team. But if he's just kind of like saying that just to, kind of deflect maybe a little bit, I would think that the Bucks actually have a little bit of value here. The Knicks are and have always been kind of to an extent a public team, right? We know this. They've just been so bad, over the last several years that it's been hard to get behind them as an ATS wager. And now you look at this line and your first instinct, you're like, oh man, the Knicks are back. They're taking 4 against the defending champs on the road. You know they're going to be up for that game. The Bucks are missing 2 starters. Automatic taking the points, right? I don't know if I'm there just yet because this Bucks team, and we talked about this the last time when you had the money line parlay 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I should say. The Bucks, I think the books are a little bit overcorrecting on them right now, and their slow start, sure, I think is definitely to be concerning. I think for this team, no doubt. But I'm not ready to completely write them off and just start fading them at home against the Knicks team that is very good and I think should be respected by all means. But the Bucks are going to be able to kind of spread them out a little bit and do some damage, I think, on this defense. And if that's the case, if you're the Knicks playing from behind on the road, I don't think that that's going to be a lot tougher to cover that line, that +4. So and I've said this before with the Knicks, they're not the kind of team that's built to play from behind. They are built to play with a lead, and they want to get a lead going to halftime so they can absolutely put the clamps on you in the second half. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that against the Bucks, even a hobbled Bucks team. This team has depth. The Brook Lopez injury does not concern me as much as the Middleton one does, obviously. But I mean, to be honest, with the way Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton have been filling in for first DiVincenzo and now Middleton, not necessarily losing a lot on the offensive end. You lose a ton defensively, which is very concerning to me, which is why I'm probably not quite ready to just fade the Knicks here in this spot. But I probably lean towards the Bucks here. I just think this line, it just smells like a trap, man. I can't explain it any other way than that. It just looks way too good to be true at this point.
It's Bucks or nothing for me. I'm not ready to lay over a possession here. I would take the Bucks at -3. I don't know if I can really go over that price right now. I will say this. I've said it not a couple of weeks ago, obviously, because it's only been a couple of weeks of the season, so maybe like a week ago, or at the beginning of this week at least, that the Knicks' three-point shooting has to come back down to earth at some point. Variance is a part of sports. It definitely should be in your vocabulary if you choose to invest money on this type of stuff. And the Knicks still right now, if you look overall, are number 2 in the league in three-pointers made per game. But look at their last 2 games. Their three-point shooting has fallen off a cliff, and lo and behold, so is their offense. That is not a coincidence. Those 2 things go hand in hand. And as long as they continue to shoot threes at this clip, like again, the last game, they were 5 for 24, 21% from 3. You're not beating anybody making 5 threes in today's NBA. I'll just tell you that right now. And then the very next game, they shot 38 threes. Again, they made a lot of those threes because they shot 42%, but their poor three-point performance in the previous, it didn't even make them slow down a bit. Like, listen, here's why I can't take points with the Knicks in this situation. They're in the bottom half of the league defensively, and that's not who they are. They're not going to be a team that's going to repeat the success they had last year unless they're in the top 10 on defense. Right now, they're like 24th ranked defensively. So 24th is not like, oh, you're kind of struggling. 24th is like you're just straight up bad on defense, because they're third in the league in offensive rating right now, which again is not going to last. If you think that's going to last, I'm sorry, you're mistaken. And they still only have a net rating of like plus 2.6, and they're third overall on offense. So if they were actually a good team right now, instead of a team trying to figure out their identity, their net rating would be much better, because offensively they're cooking and they're as hot as they can possibly get. But they're kind of forgetting about the other end and what made them successful. So this is a pass for me, because I would have to lay the points with the Bucks, and I'm just not comfortable doing that with all these injuries, especially like you said, Giannis is talking about his knees bothering. You're not getting my money, bro. Not with that kind of talk.
Yeah, it's scary. Very scary.
Yeah, next up we got Los Pelicanos against the Golden State Warriors, which is a pretty interesting game. I know some people are going to look at this and be like, what the hell is interesting about this? The Pelicans are not a good team. You're right. They're a terrible team. It's interesting to me because people are starting to get on this. The Warriors are back. The Warriors are this, Warriors are that. Okay. They look pretty good. Do they look so good that I'm going to lay double digits to them? Because obviously at 9.5, you need them to win by double digits. No, gracias. I will pass on that and wait till I can get a better price. Obviously, the Pelicanos cannot keep up with the Warriors. But is Brandon Ingram for sure not going to play today or what?
I don't know. He's missed 3 straight. He's questionable officially. They're 4 nights. Like I would lean no, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that just stay away from this game. The Warriors are more than likely going to just do enough to win, and I could see the Pelicans kind of sort of hanging around and busting that spread when the game is kind of like out of reach and doesn't matter. They've kind of done that in their last couple of games. They've lost a bunch of games in a row, but they lost by 13 to the Kings, 12 to the Suns, 6 to the Knicks. They kind of sort of just hang around there and, right around that 10-point mark. I wouldn't just blindly I wouldn't just blindly be laying the points with Golden State for this specific reason. If you've actually watched these Pelicans games and seen how they've lost, it's in the fourth quarter that they're getting blown out. They're actually going into the fourth quarters of these games, and the games are actually pretty close, even though Brandon Ingram's not playing anything. They have no business being close. So I just be careful. Jordan, what you got?
I think the Pelicans have kind of realized here at the beginning of the year that it's already tank season. And that's kind of what I realize. That's kind of why I think that they're going to hold Ingram out as long as possible. Because Lord Jesus, if you look at what Zion looks like right now, he's not playing until 2022, man. Like let's just be completely honest. There's no way, shape, or form, shape literally being the key word in that sentence, that he's going to be in shape enough to play in an NBA basketball game in the next 6 weeks. Like he looks like
a New Orleans Saints starting offensive tackle.
He seriously looks like he could play tackle or guard right now. Like you're exactly right. And so, combine that with Ingram hurting, which there's absolutely zero, and I mean zero reasons to push him to play in a basketball game. Because Lord knows if he's out there, he's going to be, shooting the ball 30 times. And you're going to be asking a lot of him. He's going to have to be having to guard one of the other team's best players along with that. Just pack it in. New Orleans and Detroit, to me, Detroit's just bad, and it's going to continue to be bad. New Orleans is just bad because they're hurt, and their best player, it looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But they just can't catch a break, and there's no reason to go into this game, I think, if you're Ingram and the Pelicans on the third and 4 nights, by the way, third game in 4 nights on the road against the league's best defense. Why would you subject Brandon Ingram to that tonight? I just save him up for when you're back at home and he's completely healthy and ready to play. So that's my first thought on this. I don't want to be too long-winded on this game because I wrote it up for BMR too, but I didn't really mention that part of the discussion in the article. But the main part I do want to touch on here is that I'm banking on Ingram to be out. I've already touched on that. But if that's the case, then I think the under is a fantastic play. I got this at 214.5. You look at the low totals kind of on this slate, other than Cleveland and Toronto, in my opinion, if Ingram doesn't play, this is the second lowest scoring game of the night. Because something that you just mentioned, it resonated with me. And one of the things I kind of wrote up in the article is Golden State, they match up well with this team, but they're probably looking at this game like, we don't really need to go crazy. And another factor I think that we've talked about already is regardless of who's on the court, I think the Pelicans have kind of exceeded expectations for me, at least initially here with Ingram being out. Willie Green's got these guys playing hard. And you said it, they stay in games. They don't give up. They have a lot of guys who, outside of Ingram and Zion, kind of like you say, playing for that next contract. I mean, Devontae Graham obviously just coming over was a nice signing. The Valanciunas trade has been great for this team. They got a lot of young guys that are trying to make their way off of a rookie contract into big money here pretty soon. And that alone, I think, despite their offensive struggles, gives me enough confidence to say that their defense at least is going to come and show up tonight. Whether or not that works or not, it remains to be seen. But small sample size, this team's been 8 points better per 100 possessions on defense than they are at home comparatively when they go on the road. It's amazing how road trips bring a young team together and the focus together, and how this kind of works. It's baffling how this works to me. But you're also talking about a Warriors team, like I mentioned, that's number 1 in defense. I would not be surprised if Ingram sits to see this Pelicans team held to under 100 points tonight. Would not be surprised one bit, because the Pelicans' only chance to win this game is they slow down the Warriors, right? So literally their only shot if they don't have Ingram. They have to muck this game up as much as possible. And on top of that, Golden State's offense hasn't been that good. You talked about the Golden State Warriors being back. They're 16th in offensive efficiency. They're 22nd in offensive rating at home. Yeah, their defense has been great. They're a lot of Steph Curry, and then they're trying to figure out that second guy right now. And Jordan Poole having a huge game the other night makes me very happy, and I could see him doing that again. But it's going to be kind of by committee here, second scoring option for this club right now. Wiggins is just Wiggins. He's just kind of there. And they don't really have an interior presence, so you got to make sure those shots are falling. If they're not tonight, though, I think the under is a really, really good play. I'm kind of looking at this game like at 110, like 99 kind of final score. Yeah, I think the spread's right, but this total's, I think, giving both of these offenses a little bit too much credit if Ingram's out tonight.
Yeah, Draymond Green averaging almost a triple-double, but being like, he averages like 8.7 points a game, and he's shooting like 56% from the field, which for him is like almost a miracle. Their offense is super weird, but their defense is the best in the league right now. So I'd be wary of just with Golden State, I just need more of a sample size. I just feel like some of these things just need to even themselves out, and it's just way too early to say they're definitely whatever, because like you said, until they have a competent, reliable second scorer, I can't say that I believe they're for real. Like, people are talking about they're back. Okay, I mean, they've played well so far, but just look at some of the teams they've played. They've played Oklahoma City twice. Steph Curry tried to kill LaMelo Ball yesterday when he took that charge. And actually, you know what? That's enough about Golden State. I don't have anything on this game, Jordan. Neither do you, right?
Under 214.5. Official.
There you go. So
lock it in.
Love it. I will not be participating in that, but it's a good look just for the simple fact that the Warriors defense is definitely legit so far. Again, their strength of schedule isn't. So I'm kind of leery to say that that's definitely who they are. But Jordan makes a pretty good point for the same reason on the opposite end. It's not like the Pelicanos are playing great defense overall in the season, but he's going by what they've done more on in a smaller sample size, which is, in the last like 4 or 5 games, they haven't been terrible on defense, even though scores might say otherwise. But this last game, between a Charlotte Hornets team that I like and a Kings team that I enjoy more than I have in the past because they kind of play exciting, really sucks that LaMelo Ball could be out here, which is why I can't get involved until I know for sure whether he's in or out, because obviously a hip injury in basketball can be pretty in any walk of life can be pretty debilitating. Steph kind of tried to take a charge but didn't. I don't know what that was, but he could have really hurt LaMelo pretty bad there. I don't think it was malicious, but it just wasn't a great play. Mm-hmm. And without LaMelo, Charlotte is already kind of showing signs. They're showing young team syndrome where the talent is there, but the ability to close out these games and pick up W's, not so much. So yeah, they kind of are always hanging around, and then the bottom kind of falls out in when it's winning time, or they make these like late runs that don't mean much. But anyways, you lose 3 out of your last 4, 4 out of your last 6. I can't get involved with you at all. Your thoughts, Jordan?
I don't have an official play on this one, but I am very, very close to making one official. First off, though, I just pulled up the injury report. LaMelo Ball listed probable, so it seems like he's good to go tonight. That's good. Okay, that's good. That's very good news. Probably why you haven't seen. If he was already ruled out or doubtful or even questionable, I think you'd probably see the Kings as a higher favorite in this game. But that's fine with me, because like you said, regression has kind of started to come for the Hornets. Not so much on offense. Definitely on defense, and that's where you kind of thought you would see it. And the Kings, obviously not a defensive juggernaut by any means, but I've touted the Kings guards defensively on this show before. And as have you, by the way. And they got a rookie that is going to get a lot of LaMelo Ball tonight. And if Davion Mitchell is up to the task, this Kings team, I think, has the value here for a lot of reasons. But I think for me, the bet that I would be making on them, if I do make one, it's going to be Kings first half. You got the Hornets on a long road trip, probably getting worn down at least a little bit. And as you said, showing young team signs. Not so much necessarily in offense, but the defense is certainly starting to look like we thought they were. Whereas the Kings here, not really showing those signs yet. And on top of that, their metrics in the first half have been absolutely incredible. Whereas the Charlotte Hornets in first halves have been very, 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 very bad. I think Charlotte has their minus 15 net rating in first half so far this year, and almost minus 11 net rating in the first half of their road games. Whereas the Kings, you got one of the better first half net ratings in the entire league right now. And then you get to play them at home too. I think they're top 10 in net rating in the first half altogether. And then I don't think they're too much better at home, but you get the point. They got the guys to match up with these Hornets. And I think that they are still being slightly undervalued despite being favored here. It's not surprising to me, obviously, that they are favored, but they have the ability to slow this Hornets team down, especially with the Hornets kind of trending in the wrong direction. And like I said, I haven't made it just yet, but I probably am going to get there. I think I'm close. You're giving me just way too much value for a Kings team that could come out and be 2, 3, 4 possessions ahead of this Hornets. What could be also a tired Hornets team as well with this long road trip here too. So lean heavily to Kings first half in this one, and probably lean Kings full game too. Gonna get there on one of them. Probably gonna be the first half, not the full game though.
Yeah, I don't have a look on this game. Two teams that I might watch it, especially if I know LaMelo's going to play, see some exciting plays and all that. But in terms of consistent basketball, that's not what you're going to find in this game.
No.
The Hornets' regression on defense is the thing that's going to hold them back, because their offense is actually still playing pretty well. I don't really see them having any interior defense that they can count on. But again, they're still a young team, a few moving parts. If they've had guys be in and out of the lineup with some nagging injuries, they are a team that they need every single guy to be healthy, or at least more of them than not to be able to compete. So that's it for us today. Just to recap the picks real quick. I mean, I only have one official pick. That's the Wizards. Washington minus 1.5 at home, short line. I think that this is a spot for them. They can take advantage of the Grizzlies here. Ja Morant's electric. He's unstoppable. Bradley Beal's pretty goddamn good too. So I'm going to take the Wizards at home. What I feel is a short line. What you got, Jordan?
Yeah, 2 today for me, under 221 Wiz and Grizz, and then under 214 in Golden State tonight versus the Pelicanos. I am really hoping Brandon Ingram sits this one out, because that will definitely help my play tonight. Strong lean to Kings first half as well. I think I'm going to get there. I just haven't gotten there quite yet.
I might tell my guy Jordan on that Kings first half play. The information that he was sharing, I was not aware of. So I'm definitely going to go do some research on that and probably end up telling you there, Jordan. Please make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Head over to bmr.com, bookmakerreview.com. Check out our articles there. My name is Junior Browne. As usual, it's my guy Jordan with the Fire Picks. See y'all on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe.